Good everyone, welcome to this video. Today we have the last part of the Premium Showcase series requested by It's Rainy Boy, and today we have the France and Swedish part. Of course, as per usual, I'm going to mention any aircraft and tanks that are going to be added to the collection for France first, and of course, once we get around to Sweden, I'll mention anything that they have that I'm going to be adding to the collection. Before we begin though, if you just want to skip to Sweden, if you don't care about France, do feel free, there's a timestamp in the description below. Anyway, let's begin. So starting off with the French, I am going to briefly go over the aircraft that and tanks, of course, that I do plan to add to the collection at some point. So in terms of planes, the only real one I want is the P-47. I would like the Narval, but it's a bit too expensive at the minute. So maybe on a 50% off and I get a load of GE. I don't know, I'll think about it. But the P-47 is definitely going to be there on my list. As for tanks, there really isn't anything for France because I have the ones I want. So hope that covers the ones that are going to be for France anyway. So starting us off, we have Palia's D510. This is a cracking little reserve premium. Of course, it is 1-3, so it's not technically reserve, but this is the aircraft that you get if you chose France as your first nation. Obviously, I got this for free when France Air Forces did come out, and I was very pleased with it. It had great power, it had decent guns. Of course, the 404 is still a bit debatable, but it's certainly a good cannon. I like it a lot, and well, what more can I say? For 250 Golden Eagles, I gave this thing a bloody good review because it's a bloody good plane. Of course, it does get power crept by the infamous CW21, which has still not been nerfed or upped in BR, but oh well. That's just the way the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. But if you don't fight CW, this thing will pretty much kick the butt of whatever it fights, because it's got a lot of power. It's got a nice little trick as well with the, if you throttle back to 0% in a dive, it actually loses speed quite well because of the drag, and that's something you can use as like a functioning air brake, I suppose. But this is a great little reserve premium. Next up, we have a plane that I've relatively recently reviewed, the French P-40 F5 Lafayette. Gave this thing a good review because it bloody deserved it. And of course, we have the French starter pack to cover at some point, and of course, all the other starter packs. And, well, this is a good plane for it. I mean, you get this plane with the pack, and of course, if you do buy this thing separately, it's 850 GE. It's a great little plane. Rank 2, 2.7, perfect BR, perfect plane, good performance, backs up the French tanks nicely. What more can I say? This thing is a great premium for on a budget. Then we come to the Yak 3. This is certainly a great plane. The problem, like, the main issue is the ammo load, and whilst it is still very good, even though it's got quite poor ammo, the Shavak cannon did get a buff, so that is going to help it. Would I say it's the rank 3 premium you should buy for friends? Probably not. I'd probably put my money towards the P-47, but at the same time, not everyone likes flying P-47s, and with France having so little options in terms of premiums, if you don't like P-47s, this is the one you're going to have to go with. I mean, you can look at my review, but just remember I'm getting like 50 ping. It's not going to always work for you. And as a result, just remember that. And if you do buy this thing and the guns don't work, don't blame me. That's all I'm saying. Next up, we have the H39 Cambronne. This is definitely a tank that, when I was working on a review for it back in the day, I freaking despised it because HVAP spam, as you can imagine. I did find it a good trick to work with it, being this, where I'd angle it to this side, so that way if I angled it this way, I wouldn't get penned by HVAP here. But if you angled it this way, you had less chance of being penned on the driver's hatch, and the side armor as well as the side of the turret was practically immune to HVAP. And if you angled the turret front, you only had to worry about this part here, and even then, it's a high chance that the breach will eat the shot. Whilst it certainly isn't a very good tank, it's a rank 1 premium and I got it free, so I can't really like give it a negative because I got it free. But at the same time, it's been power creeped into living hell, so this is definitely a tank you do not see on the battlefield anymore. Next up, we have one of the most infamous low-tier clubbers, the B1 Tur. And I swear, the Tur stands for an abbreviation of terror, because if this thing gets a dad tier, it's not even funny. I've had 14 kill runs in this thing. I've even had a 15 kill game in this thing. It is not even funny. This thing is devastatingly good, and arguably is paired with the P40, which is, whilst it does get it into 3-7 matches, it's more than worth the trade, because even at 3-7, this thing can bounce some shots like you wouldn't believe. I absolutely love this tank, and when I get around to reviewing the French starter pack, expect positive review. That's all I'm saying. Then we come to the Frankenstein Scout, the AMX-13 M24. A tank that you literally don't see anymore. I don't remember the last time I saw one of these things. These things are extremely rare now, and I personally don't know why. I mean, I can see why most people go for the B1 Tur, but at the same time, they really are missing out on this tank. It is such a good tank. Combines the decent mobility of the AMX chassis with the M24 turret, and whilst you don't get the stabilizer, which I still don't know why it doesn't, I've never really looked into why, this is definitely a tank that I heavily recommend that people pick up if you're not a fan of the B1 Tur, in which case I really think you need to see a psychiatrist, because Jesus Christ, that thing is a fucking clubber. And if you don't like the B1 Tur because you get seal clubbed by it, then yeah, just buy this thing. Moving on to Sweden. We only have another part one because I don't have many Swedish premiums. And as for their vehicles that I'm planning to add to the collection, I am planning to get the Swedish starter pack at some point. So I'll be getting this tank here and the Fokker D21 as well. Other than that, at this current moment in time, there isn't anything that really catches my attention other than the Swedish starter pack. Hope you like the skin for this J&A, by the way. I thought I'd make it as cringy as possible. This is Ikobe's J&A, and of course, when Mr. PewDiePie did his infamous video on the game itself, obviously he chose Swedish Air and did Swedish tanks as well. And this was one of the skins that you could get, and I decided to put it on my Ikobe's J&A for shits and giggles. And don't worry, I did get the other one for the M39, so you're going to see that in a minute. But it's a nice little low-tier biplane. Always enjoyed the Gladiator airframe, although this one flies a little differently and I've never worked out why. So that's just something I'm going to have to work out. It personally feels like this plane is a bit more tail heavy, but yeah, we'll just have to see. Then we come on to one of Matty Redico's favourite planes, and personally one of my favourite, the Morco Marine. This is a plane that has been, well, let's just say, been ripped apart on the forums by said Matt Renico. He took this thing to the forums and he went ham. He literally ripped guys into bits, giving them historical information, tail numbers, you name it. He taught them a new arsehole, and yet they still haven't changed this thing. And it's a real shame, but I do hope to see a MS410 airframe, modified to be a Morco Marine, of course, and hopefully that one comes with an MG151. I'd love to see that. Then we come on to one of the hardest aircraft names to actually pronounce correctly, and I haven't attempted to pronounce it in a while. The Pyramersky. I hope I've got that at least somewhat right. This is definitely a premium that I forked out my own dollar for the moment I saw it. It combines G series level of 109 power, and it's just so good. If you need a rank 3 premium, this is your money right here. I don't know if it's the only one, but this is definitely the one. If you need a premium for Sweden, pick this thing up without asking twice because of how good it is. If I have to explain, just go look at my review on the Pyramersky and you will see exactly what this thing can do. It is so good. Then we come to the Stridsvagen M39, and again, I hope you like the cringy skin. I had to do it. I'm sorry. This again is a nice little low tier tank. Gave it a nice review when it came out, although this is technically the definition of pay to win because it's much better than the one in the tech tree by quite a significant margin. The hull armor around the driver's visor is much better. The turret front armor is much better. And Yeah, it's just better in those aspects which the tech tree variant cannot compete with. So, yeah, great job on balance engaging. But for 250 Gold Eagles, I would advise picking this thing up. It's a nice little low tier tank and it's nice to relax with. Just don't be an arsehole and spam APDS. It's low tier. People are trying to play. Then we come to this. The Saab 2012-48. A tank that, funny enough, one of my subs and one of my now mods actually bought me. This was bought by Mr. Admiral 6Y2, and this is definitely a tank that not only means a lot to me because I've been like we've always had our good banter on the Discord, me and Admiral, but this is a tank that when it first came out, everyone with their mothers of screaming overpowered, and then they actually got an up tier, and yeah, wasn't as fun then, was it? With only 95 pen, but even so, it was still capable. It was highly mobile. It had a great gun, and of course, I decided to put the teddy bear on the gun, just above the gun breech there, because why not? But of course, this thing is very good. Me and Admiral played this thing quite a lot when it first came out, because of course Swedish tanks were not around yet. And when they did announce Swedish tanks and they did bring it into the game, we used this to grind up the tech tree so damn quickly. It was a lot of fun. But anyway, that's pretty much it for the France and Sweden, and that is it for this showcase. Of course, if there's any new nations added in the future that I happen to get premiums for, or if you want like an update in a few months' time or something like that, or maybe a year's time, do let me know, because that'll be something I'd like to do. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed your mini series there, It's Rainy Boy, and I hope everyone else did, and I will see you all on the next one.